Good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here from Angel Wing LLC. Today is the 18th of February, 2025. I want to welcome you all to year number 2, week number 7 of our continuing personal transformation program. We are having two major themes going on right now in the current series. The number 2 theme is sustained balance. It's a very practical, applied program where we are attempting to balance our lives across 12 dimensions and then to maintain that balanced state without too much fluctuation into any kind of long-term imbalance. There's always fluctuation, but that's the goal, at least, to keep things as centered and as balanced as possible. And then in the current series, we are looking at energy conservation, right? So our entire program of personal transformation is foundational based on the flow of energy and time. This has been discussed already in the previous year, and we're going to keep talking about it in many different ways and really pull in multiple ideas as we move ahead, right? So our conversation is centered around this. Our presentation is centered around this basic idea and then other interconnected notions. Quick reminder, there are 5 stages: energy activation and utilization, energy equalization, energy conservation, that's our current series, energy revitalization, energy transmutation. And hopefully you've written that down. And hopefully you have also written down the TEMDE and the quantity, quality, direction, dimension, depth, and structure, to 5 and 6, right? So what are those 5? It's on your hand. It's thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. This can be thought about in other classifications also, but this is a way to simply put it. It's right on your hand this way, and the E is the enlivening factor, the energy flowing through the brain, mind, spinal cord, etc. If that's not there, there's no life of any kind. So today we're looking at quantity, and we're going to talk about quantity with regards to energy conservation. Now, I just want to explain this a little bit here before we go into a couple of slides. First of all, the word quantity simply means a measurable amount or magnitude of a given phenomena, the intensity or degree of whatever, cognitive load, magnitude of drive. There's lots of terms like this. It has to do with a measurable amount. Now, we run into a problem right at the very beginning here. When we say quantity, is there a quantity to emotion? Is there a quantity to cognition? This TEMDE, quantity of thoughts, is there really a measurable numerical quantity of thoughts? There may be in theory, assuming that it's part of the brain-mind, combination function, that there is some finitude number or amount of thinking, that cognition that goes on. At least in theory, that could be the case, maybe. And if that's the case, then it's just a material process. That thinking is just a material process that is within our awareness or within awareness. For example, when I say these are my thoughts or these are my emotions, that means that who is the me, the I that is awareness, right? It's like, I can see that these are thoughts. Generally, we function as if we are thoughts, as if we are emotions, as if we are our memories. We function that way generally. But at least in theory, we can say that there's a separation there, that we are the observer, or observing the structure, of the mind itself. So anyway, that's the general idea. Now, quantity. This raises a very significant question here. See, we use expressions like, I'm overthinking, I'm thinking too much, I'm not thinking enough, I feel too tired, I feel this, I feel that. All such types of statements are made from time to time. All such statements are made. And that has very much to do with our own direct perception of the experience we're having. For example, if I'm saying I'm thinking too much, that's my experience. If I'm thinking, no, I don't feel like getting up today, I feel like not doing much of anything, I don't want to think about this right now. We do this all the time. So quantity of cognition or thinking quantity is in our perception. It's in our experience of life. Okay, now having said that, what is the flow of energy, the quantity of energy, the energy flow in the cognition itself? Right? So energy is obviously required for the brain, the mind to work. If the energy is not there, the brain physiology doesn't work, nothing works. It's a big problem. Right? So we understand that. But energy conservation, as we have talked about it already several times, and it's a little difficult to perhaps grasp this concept. So I'm going to go into it again here. The concept is regarding the fact that we have a finite amount of energy available mentally, emotionally, etc. And it has to do with how much is available at any given moment, right? So the quantity definition provided directly relates to the amount of personal energy available. So we know if there's high quantity, like a fully charged battery, you have ample energy to do all kinds of things, tasks, feeling focused, resilient, etc. Low energy is where there's fatigue, easily getting overwhelmed, struggles to concentrate, things like that. That's also easy to understand. But now this is the more difficult part. The activation conservation cycles. If you're taking notes, please put today's date in your workbook. And this is the activation conservation cycle, which is what personal energy management isn't just about having energy. It's about how we use and replenish it. We operate in a constant cycle. So we activate and expend energy when we engage in activities. This includes cognitive effort, thinking, problem solving, learning, decision making, emotional regulation, physical activity, drive, motivation, etc. Right? So when energy is activated, there is certain amount. Remember, how much are we using of the activated energy? Are we overusing it or are we underusing it? Is it being used exactly, at least in theory, in the right amount to do the activity that is needed in the functional dimension of life? Problem solving, decision making, thinking, managing emotions, things like that. It is our functionality. It is our ability to interact in a meaningful way with a great deal of awareness about the way that this entire process works, the activation conservation cycle. Even things like exercise, movement, even maintaining posture, sitting too much, standing too much. I mean, there's a balance here. Now, to really, really probe into this, I want to make sure this is clear about the quantity of use here. So we're going to talk only about quantity today. And we're going to go through all of them: quantity, quality, direction, dimension, depth, and structure in this entire series. I just want to open this discussion about quantity, because when energy is activated, it is activated in a certain amount that is coming from our storage. And in terms of our cognition, it is activated at a certain level. So it's awareness. How much is activated? Is it the right amount? And what is the barometer? The barometer is experience. The barometer is what is the quality of the experience internally. So the quantity that is opened up is related to the quality, and that's our barometer. So everyone's quantity is going to be different, but the quality is the key. And then it's a subjective judgment. The subjective judgment is this is the right amount. It's a qualitative feel, like, yes, this feels really good for me in this way. It feels balanced. This is right. This is exactly where I want to be. This also has to do with predetermining the state of thought and emotion, the quality of state of thought and emotion we want. Right? So we'll talk about memory, desire a little bit later on. But these two, we can predetermine them, preset them hour to hour. And this is our practical effort this year. One of the big things to try to do this year is to go hour to hour when we're awake and decide the quality of the experience we want, which would mean we have to decide how much energy is opened up in cognition and in emotion. For example, if I say that from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. today, Sachin is going to present this PTP program. What is the quality of the experience that I'm looking for? Well, if I want the best quality experience for me, for myself, right, and for the group, and for this recording that is being made, I have to prepare, think about this a bit, do the slides, see how to present it, let things flow naturally. It should be very clear to me. There's certain experience that I'm preparing for. It's not just that, well, okay, I have to do this. It has to do with attitude. It has to do with perspective and perception. This is true in all of our lives, hour to hour to hour. In the next hour, what's coming up? What is the quality of the experience in the next hour? We don't see, this is not something that we do. We just think, well, okay, I'm just going through the motions. And we make general statements like, I want to have a good life and I want to be happy. And that doesn't mean anything just by saying that. It's just a lot of lip service and a lot of just cognitive, just mental noise. That's all those statements are. They absolutely have no meaning at all unless there's application. The application is hour to hour, literally. And this is an hour at a time, hour of power. There used to be a Christian evangelical show called Hour of Power years back when we were growing up. That just kind of stayed with me. I remember that. I don't remember who the preacher was now. He was an older fellow. It was a lot of fun watching. It was very, very good stuff. Hour of Power. So this is our hour of power. Hour of power is not just one day a week. It's every hour that we're awake. The next hour, what's coming up? What's on my schedule? What are the right steps for me to take in the next hour, functionally, interactionally, transactionally, so that my awareness is at the highest levels, my experience that I'm looking for, I am in charge of that. And use the I statement. It's perfectly okay. That's a self-assertion. Sometimes even Sachin here prevents using the I statement. Sometimes we do that primarily because we don't want to be in that ego mentality. But that's a different matter. But making an assertive statement for deliberately deciding that this is my decision, that in the next hour, this is decided. Now, you can make this, if you don't want to use the I statement, there's a better way. And that is simply to say, let consciousness, awareness, the divine or the higher thinking, higher realization, let that flow and the decision comes naturally. That's even better than using the I statement. But that's a little more difficult to understand right away. So you can try the I statement and say, okay, this is the experience I want. And it goes back to desire, right? Thought, emotion, memory, desire. Desire impacts thought and emotion. So what is the quality of the experience I want? And without desire, we cannot do anything. There's no action. There's no life without desire. There's no possibility of doing anything at all unless there is some desire active in some way or another. You see, so that's another very important thing. Now, so to really apply this idea in the next hour, what is the best set of actions to take in the 1 hour to make it as meaningful, useful, wonderful, happy, joyous, balanced, the highest quality of experience in the next hour that I'm planning for? Visualize it. Maybe visualize it like on the hour. Then, okay, like at 9 p.m. Okay, from 9 to 10, what's going to happen? Sit for 1 or 2 minutes. It might even not even take that long and say, okay, I want, the best balance in this next hour. Just that simple statement. And then take each action that is in alignment with that predetermined idea, that predetermined state. This is me. I am that. I am that state of balance. So this entire program that we have developed is about practicality, practical steps, day to day, hour to hour, and then that becomes minute to minute. And then it becomes really breath to breath. That am I taking enough breaths? Am I taking even deeper breaths? Things like that. And see, what will happen out of this is its application. Natural silence comes about. Our mind becomes naturally steady. Our health becomes better. Our interaction with others become better. Why is that? Because we have predetermined through wisdom, or wisdom, whatever wisdom may be, which sounds a bit abstract, whatever that may be, that is guiding us. Not simply my mixed up mind is just running in 10 different directions. No. Now, you can use scriptures for that. You can use concepts like choiceless awareness. You can use the Bible, you can use the New Testament, the Gita, so there's a traditional approach, there's a more just pure awareness-based approach, there's a mindful approach, there is, just the power of the now. I mean, there's a lot of ways to talk about this and to apply it, see what works for you. So religious people might say, I'm going to take action in the next hour that pleases the Lord, pleases God. That is what Jesus wants from me, or what Krishna wants from me, or what the Buddha has taught for me to do. Things like that, So that's a way to proceed. Another way to proceed is to say, there's a decision that is coming, that this is simply that this life is to be balanced, the highest quality of emotion. What is the highest quality of emotion? You can just simply say great peace, great happiness, love without any kind of damage to love. Things like that, things that resonate, gratitude, these quantum qualities we talk about. Resonate, it's to resonate with that deliberately, that's me. What I am not are all the disturbances, the confusions and whatnot. What is this great state of clarity, lucidity, love, affection, care, things that we want. Now, this is where the trouble begins generally. When we try to do this, our conditioning from the past reasserts itself, and it just throws us and thrashes us in different places. Not to worry. Just come back to the predetermined vision, that this was predetermined, and Sachin is going to stay with that, even if Sachin doesn't want to stay with that. Now we are dealing with the problem of desire. The problem of desire is that, I may have desired at 9 p.m., I want to be very balanced and want to do some meditation, want to do some prayers, or want to do some... I may have predetermined that. But as 9:15 approaches, 9:20 approaches, my thinking changes rapidly into something else. Things that I have predetermined, I do not follow through. And what does that do? That creates contradiction, and it keeps me in that same old pattern again. So energy that is activated is then spun in different ways. It just gets thrashed. It doesn't get activated and then reconnected back into a conserved state in the best possible way. And because that doesn't happen, that's why there is fragmentation effect. If it does happen, or when it does happen, there is no fragmentation effect. So the internal mental energy fragmentation is what we are trying to avoid. We don't want that. We don't want that because that's what creates a lot of just imbalances physically, psychologically, mind, brain, body. All those imbalances occur because of what is called fragmentation. Now, another aspect to all of this is the experience, the qualitative experience in the hour. Meaning what? That if I'm going to have, let's say, dinner at 9:20 or something, let's just assume for a moment, when you have a snack or eat something, what is the quality of the experience? Well, you'll notice something, that the quality of the experience is based on state of mind. So the state of mind is what we have to decide what that might be. What is the state of mind? The state of mind, we want that to be the best quality state of mind. You see, so for example, if I'm having a meal, I want to enjoy the meal. All right? Then I can predetermine to make it the way I want, to try to fulfill the desires we have, because that's what we do. We don't want to fight with desires. We want to be able to fulfill them without getting tangled up inside the vortex created by unfulfilled desire. You see, so the function of desire connects with the quantity of energy that is opened up. It's opened up from within, and our desires tend to shift because they're not integrated. But if I say, no, this experience I'm having now, I'm going to make the best of this experience because this is my life. Life is only experience in the present, is nothing other than that. Because life is only experience in the present, we're going to make the best of that experience. Then it is a matter of being one with that experience, staying with it, getting through it, and then it will go to the next experience. So one experience changes into another, into another, into another. No experience is sustained indefinitely, not a single one, right? No experience is sustained indefinitely. And as a result of that, we tend to get frustrated because we are not able to continue indefinitely an experience we enjoy. See, this is where the quantity and this energy conservation concept really comes into the picture. Let's say, for example, if I am watching a TV show and I'm enjoying the show a lot. Okay, so I enjoy it. But then what? Can I just stay in that enjoyment for hours and hours? No. I'll get tired. It'll be too much. It has to be kept in a limit. So the quantity of thought, quantity of emotion is always within a limit. It is always within a limit. And because it is within that limit, we are then able to move to the next experience and then to the next experience. But our tendency is to stay in that experience further and further, and to the point usually where we don't like it anymore, we get distracted into something else. We overstimulate our brain by experiences. So the quantity of thinking has to do with realizing not to overstimulate an experience, even if we like it. This happens with food, doesn't it? We enjoy a certain dishes and I want to even have more of it and have more of it. And then we eat too much of it, it causes an imbalance. Too much of any sense experience will cause imbalance. It has to be kept in a limited range. But the mind is craving, sometimes wanting much more. It's wanting more of this and more of this and more of this. Even you'll be surprised, even things like devotional practice, meditation practices, some people do them to excess, and then they wind up creating a negativity towards it. Like, I don't like this anymore. This is one of the key things to keep in mind, not to generate a negative reaction for sense experiences. The moment we start doing that, we are going to further cause problems internally. That's what's going to happen, because now that thing that we were enjoying, we don't want to go back to that anymore, because we've created a contradiction. On the one hand, there was enjoyment, and then later on, there was lack of enjoyment. There was, in fact, disgust or dislike. If it's too much, it's a problem. Even if you take something like sleep. So we've all experienced this. We sleep, we need sleep, but then we tend to oversleep, and then we get up groggy and tired and cranky and imbalanced and all that, because we have slept too much. Our mind has said, I will enjoy sleep, so let me just increase it further. No, that's a problem. You see, we are generally sleeping too much, and that's because there is an internal wanting to remain in that restful state. Well, yeah, restful state is good, but then there's a point, ideally, where rest ends and activity begins. And that activity is also a type of rest. There's a statement I read many years back: if you cannot find rest in activity, you'll never find it. So rest is not only at nighttime, rest is during the daytime while being active. And if we cannot find rest in activity, or to put it another way, to discover the state of rest in activity, that will produce the greatest joy during the waking time, and it will produce the right amount of sleep at nighttime. You see, so this is all related to quantity and energy conservation, energy activation, energy conservation, energy transmutation. It's all together. You see, so when there is rest in activity means... Okay, so this is a key, if you're taking notes, to find or rest in activity, not inactivity. In each action, there is rest. It is a restful, active action. Now, that sounds contradictory. What does that mean? How can that be? How can there be action that is restful? Let's use some examples. So, running. Let's say someone's a runner or a walker. You're walking. You can be walking and there's a lot of activity going on, but the mind is very still. That is the rest is internal. You could be very active, performing all kinds of physical activity. Mind is very peaceful, very steady. So remember, The quantity has to be there. Quantity of thought and emotion is there, but quantity and quality go together. Quantity and quality go together, because if I say that I want the best quality experience, then that also has to do with deciding the amount of quantity. Take simple example of making a cup of coffee. The difference between using instant coffee versus using one of those coffee pods that actually has, where you can make fresh. It's like making fresh coffee, right? There's a difference in the taste. There's a difference in the quality. Okay. So then it goes back to desire, likes and dislikes. I like this, but I don't like this one. I like this one more, I like this one less, like that. Okay, so you can decide that. That's fine. That's that. But then what? But then to say, that this experience is occurring in the substratum of joy, within joy. Meaning what? It's not that I'm going to try to discover joy, or I'm going to try to create joy through the cup of coffee. Or no, it's actually allowing for the experience of the sense experience of drinking a cup of coffee while remaining within joy. It's a big difference. And this is the whole idea of harmonization. When quantity and quality of emotions are harmonized, then only there is the possibility of being in that full energy state. Where energy is actually conserved maximally. Energy conservation is absolutely essential. Energy conservation is not energy suppression. It is not inactivity. Energy conservation means activating energy, meaning the availability matrix. There's an availability to use a certain amount of energy in certain areas. But you cannot use it until it becomes available. If you remember this from last couple of times, remember this. If you haven't remembered it, make it available first. And then because it's available, then it can be used. Right? So time and energy both are available. Take, for example, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. today for all of us. When 9 p.m. comes, or let's say 9:30 to 10:30 p.m., what is the availability? Well, time is available, assuming we're alive, which we should be, hopefully by the grace of God. So 1 hour is available for us. Energy is available. All right. But is it available in the sense it's active? How much is active? To do what? So I activate it. I open it up, and then I use it. Use it in a certain amount, in a certain way. So maybe it's more movement, maybe it's doing some kind of an evening. I have to decide what that is. But is it done to give me the best quality experience in the next hour? Generally in people's lives, the high quality experiences are more stimulative. Oh, it was a great party. It was a great dinner. It was a great wedding. It was, we tend to think of it that way. That it was a great wedding, or it was a great trip, or I had a fantastic vacation, but otherwise my life is just just dull. It's just meaningless. No, this is a mistake. This is a super mistake. It's a super mistake because we are already setting up for like a dull experience in our day to day. Just simply decide the next hour I'm going to make it, even whatever I have to do, it is done correctly, properly, in the best possible way, with the best attitude, with the best quality, with the best viewpoint, with the best perspective. Then it doesn't matter what that is. And, for the most part, it's not going to matter what the specifics are, because you've already set that this is going to be an excellent thing. It could be going for a walk, or it could be, if you're just doing a simple, like a job as a cashier, let's say, fine, make that into the best quality experience. Learn how to do that. It's the art of discovering joy. Joy is not just taking big vacations or spending lots of money buying things and whatever. That's there also. Those are more pleasurable, stimulative types of experiences. And this is what people are seeking. Fine, seek it if you want, but why not discover joy in everything we do? In 1 step at a time, in 1 hour at a time. Is it possible? Of course. But we have not tried even to do this. We've not even tried to do it because it seems like, oh, what's the big deal? It's all the same thing. It's just mundane. No, don't use that word mundane. Change it to say life is extraordinary. Life is amazing. Every moment is a great miracle. Every moment is absolutely fantastic. So that type of change of perspective changes everything. Simple thing like reading a book, for example, or maybe watching a documentary, or having a conversation with a friend, or cooking a meal. Simple day-to-day activities can be very enjoyable and exciting. You see, rather than saying, this is the same stupid thing, this is the same dull thing. So many people call off on Monday mornings from work because they don't want to go to work. They hate their jobs. They say, I don't want to go there. This is all meaningless. It's the same thing every day. There's no newness in it. There is absolutely no sense of any type of gratitude. There's no sense of trying to unravel anything meaningful. So this is the problem. And when that happens, that's where this entire trouble occurs. That's where this entire trouble occurs. Hold on just 1 second. All right. Yes. So the point is that joy is in our hands. It's absolutely in our hands, and it has to do with these 5 things. This energy utilization, energy conservation, equalization. The energy conservation is like a master key. And not like a master key. It is a master key. It is the master key. Energy itself is the master key. It is the one key that opens all the doors. And particularly when we say, I want to use the right amount that is in alignment with joy. Wow. 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. And before you know it, the whole day unfolds as a tapestry of multitude of experiences where joy just brims. It's brimming, brimming, brimming. You see? And this is the foundation. All of these ideas are all foundational for the discovery of higher consciousness or higher type of life. However that may be conceptualized. We'll talk about that later on in some other formats. But this is the point. Without all of this kind of basis and development, what will happen is that one will just remain in a chaotic state. So using one's decision-making capacity, volitional capacity, agency, as Dr. Berman has used many times, agency, free will, it's quite straightforward. Don't make it complicated. Visualize the next hour. Don't move away from that. Visualize it. From 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. today, what is the best use of that time for me? What is it that I'm looking for? Am I just going to be flipping through channels on TV or flipping through different YouTube links and just spend the whole hour, kind of? And now, if I do that voluntarily, that's what I want to do, and that's what I've decided to do, and that's beautiful for me. Then that's beautiful for you. But is it causing any distress? Is it causing an imbalance? One has to have the conversation with oneself. It doesn't mean one has to be hyper perfect or hyper perfect. People use this word perfect. Well, what does that mean? It's different for each person. It's not that we are, Sachin here or anybody else is imposing a standard. This is what perfection is. Perfection is a matter of discovery, what that is for oneself, given the matrix of thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy, the matrix of the mind. Everyone's mind is their own, is unique in its own way with its content and experiences. Because it's unique, each person has to discover what is meant by perfection for oneself. Sometimes people don't like to use that word. They say, what do you mean? Progress, not perfection. Well, hold on. Let's back up for a moment. Is it possible to create a vision of a perfect life for me? What is my perfect life? The ideal life. Is it possible to create that? Yes, definitely. Definitely it is. But when we create that vision, then we're using energy to create that vision. We're also using time to create that vision. Then when we try to stay in that vision, we actually begin the journey of energy conservation. So there's 3 steps there. One is to create the vision of one's ideal life. Step number 1. Step number 2 is to take steps to try to live in alignment with that vision. And step number 3 is to step number 3 is to recognize where am I getting deflected, and just to internalize that vision, that's me. That's not even a step, really. It's just a resonance. So it's really just 2 steps. The third is not really a step. You see, so when the vision opens up, that this is my vision, because without a vision, we can't do anything. We cannot perform any, or if our vision is clouded, we use that expression, my conception is clouded vision, it's not clear. We cannot take action. We've talked about this before. We can visualize the future, but we cannot build the future. We can only build a bright memory structure by visualizing what that ought to be. It's not visualizing a bright future. It's visualizing a bright memory structure. So this expression, visualizing the future, is an escape from the present. Visualize that, yes, 2 days from now, this is what is going to be, but we'll wind up in the fantasy world. This is what will be. So no, what will be is it's what's going to be in the past. Change it to what will be as opposed to what will be in the past. See the language change. That is, so when I say that from 10 p.m. from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. today, this will be, or in the past, a fantastic memory experience that I'm going to enjoy, remembering. So I can remember it beautifully. Because there's no way to build a bright future. It's a totally, completely, 100% false statement. You can never build a bright future because we're only acting in the present, and every present becomes part of our memory. There's nothing like acting in the future. The future is just an idea in the mind for planning purposes, for building a present, for building the past. So rather than saying building the bright future, I'm going to build a fantastic 1 hour for me next. So when I do that, the action that is taken in the present is the best quality action that has been predetermined already inside my mind. So it's a predetermined state. So I can say that I'm predetermining to conserve energy, to activate and conserve, activate and conserve. Activate, once it's activated, split into 2, part of it is used, part of it is left alone. Part of it is used, part of it is left alone. And once it is left alone, it reintegrates back and re-energizes again because some of it is being used. This is the point. And this is the exact point that we were looking at in this slide. Let me see, I have to open that thing again. Okay. So it's very, very interesting, and it's a matter of application. Transformation is not going to happen just by hypothetical statements. There's people out there that love to talk about just a lot of theories and lots of great ideas and things like that. And that's fine. I mean, that's an intellectual exercise. True transformation comes about when there is the awareness, the realization of the movements of thought, emotion, memory. But those movements are in our hands. They just don't just happen just like that. There's volition, free will. We have to get up and decide what to eat, what not to eat, what to do, what not to do. We have to make decisions every single day, every single minute, every single hour. Even things like financial decisions or whatever it might be, there's decisions to be made all the time, right? So, but those decisions are guided by, ideally by higher consciousness. They're guided by a much greater vision. And this is what we're trying to open. The greater vision is energy conservation. The greater vision is energy non-fragmentation. That when energy is not stuck anymore, it is not harmed or damaged anymore, then we're in the right place. Okay, now, what I want to do here, I want to go back into the slides. We just have, okay, hold on one moment. I need to do this again here. Okay, so this is the point we were looking at, that when we activate and expend energy, we engage in activities. Obviously, this should be very clear. It's replenishing, using, and replenishing. Using and replenishing. This is the basic idea. All right. So having said that, there's a bunch of other slides here and stuff like that are in here. We are on principle number 7. Remember, the 52 principles are the same for all 7 years, right? So this is a 7-year process. It'll go even beyond that probably, but we'll get there when we get there. But the point is that every week there's a principle. This is our 7th principle, choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness is a quantum principle. What does it mean? What is choiceless awareness? It basically means mindfulness. It means the state of consciousness where a person observes thoughts and feelings without making judgments or choices. It's acceptance of the present moment. What is in the present moment is awareness. I want to talk about this a bit. If we are deciding what the present should look like, then that's fine. We could decide that actively build each hour. So rather than just passively not doing, passively saying, I just am not doing anything. No, actively build what you want to build. Because we are the creator, the painter of our life. Just like a painter paints, some of you have heard me say this before, just as a painter uses a lot of different colors and makes a beautiful mural or some kind of a fantastic painting, we have to paint each day. We're the painter of each and every day, the creator of the melange, the colorful, beautiful painting. But so by the time we're ready to go to sleep, the whole day has been painted. It's the picture that has been painted, a very beautiful, happy, wonderful picture. That is what is the one or is it some kind of a hodgepodge thing that I look at before going to bed and say, what a, how terrible was this thing, and how terrible was this thing, and how terrible was this thing. It's up to us. Of course there's problems in the world. Of course there's difficulties in the world. But choiceless awareness, it's a quantum principle. It's a quantum quality. It means to observe the present moment, to be aware of the flow, the movement of the mind in general, specifically the movement of thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. They all are moving. They're moving within our experience. It is the awareness of the movement of all 5 of them together. That is called choiceless awareness. And so, for example, let's make it very practical. If Sachin says, well, at 9:30, I'm going to do 10 minutes of stretching exercise. I've decided it's the right thing to do. But when 9:30 comes, I don't feel like doing it now. So how do I apply choiceless awareness? Okay, I see the feeling that the me doesn't want to do this now, but a predetermined right decision has been made to do it. I ignore the feeling. I ignored that state, and my state of mind will change rapidly. I start moving around, start doing stretches and walking around. My state of mind is going to change. So state of mind is not who we are. State of mind is an experience in consciousness. It's an experience we're having within the greater dimension of personal consciousness as well as universal consciousness. So that's what choiceless awareness is all about. Choiceless awareness is saying, okay, this is happening now. Functionally, based on my decisions in the transactional world, what do I need to do now? So if I don't make the right decisions in the interactional, transactional reality, what will happen is that I will sabotage myself again and again and again. So choiceless awareness gives wisdom that this is experienced now. I feel boredom right now. Okay, what do I do with it? Now I have a decision to make. Do I get out of that space, or do I expand that space? That happens many times. People feel lonely, they feel sad, this is missing, that's happening, and we go into that space psychologically through our memories or through our, the quantity, quality. We go into that space and then we expand it. How do we expand it? By staying in there and dumping energy inside there. So energy is not conserved. In fact, energy is torn apart. It is funneled. It's like a sinkhole, and energy gets drained very, very quickly. It gets damaged. And so that, in fact, the brain function itself is changing. So the brain, the best quality energy that needs to go into the brain is no longer present there. Right? So this is the power of choiceless awareness. It's a huge idea. We have maybe talked about it on and off in different retreats. We will do extensive series of retreats on this in the future. And as I mentioned, we're going to do the retreat on the mysteries of consciousness at my home, actually, which is not an angel wing program. It's beyond the realm of angel wing. It's going to go beyond that. It's at a much higher. It goes into the non-dualism and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be very interesting, actually. But that's what. So choiceless awareness is another master key. It'll open all the doors because it raises awareness of energy flow, thought, emotion, memory, desire. Where are they all the way around? What's happening in each dimension? And what do I want in each dimension? So choiceless awareness doesn't mean you don't want anything. It's not like a destruction of desire. It is the integration of desire into a synchronous state. So choiceless awareness naturally integrates desire into a synchronous state. I hope that makes sense. So everything we've talked about today, it leads up to this quantum quality. Why is it a quantum quality? Because it's a jump from a state of confusion and mixed life and all that kind of, that imbalances. It's a jump into a fantastic state of clarity, higher energy, higher awareness, higher integration. It's a quantum jump. It's not just a gradual jump. Yet, although there is a gradual process that we do go through, but it is a quantum jump. Once we internalize and really see what is meant by that, it's clear intellectually, and then we start living in that state, it becomes a quantum jump. Why is it a quantum jump? Because the decisions come automatically from inside, what the right decisions are in terms of energy flow, time utilization, how much to speak, what to speak, what to see, what not to see, what to hear, what not to hear, how time and energy, the preciousness of both of them, are utilized given their finite amount. There's a finite amount of energy, and there's a finite amount of time. So because of that, we are able to stay on that track very, very nicely and kind of stay in that direction. So let me stop here. Thank you all for attending, and we're going to do our closing song now.